As professional authors or aspiring authors, we know it's incredibly important to make sure that we are self-editing our stories before they go off to professional editing. That means that we have to read through our books, but then also to leverage programs like Grammarly and ProWritingAid. So in this video, we're going to break down exactly how you can be using Grammarly to edit your work, and in the next video, we are going to be going through ProWritingAid, and we'll drop the differences between each of them to help you make the best decision for yourself. But I've got links for everything down below and maybe some extra goodies for you in the caption as well, so make sure you check that out. Let's take a look at how to use Grammarly, because now there are a couple of different ways. And to be clear, I am using the free version of Grammarly. I am not using the paid version. There was a time that I did use the paid version, and I did not see that the paid version helped me as an author with the position that I was in, especially because I have access to both Grammarly and ProWritingAid. So this is all about the free version, and I would encourage you to do the exploring that you need to do to decide if you're going to need that paid version or if the free version is going to work for you. But I'll give you tips and tricks along the way. So let's take a look. So inside of your Word doc, you are going to see that you have the ability to open it inside of Word doc, or you can use it directly inside of a browser. Now this is my Word doc where I've changed my background to be a softer color on my eyes with the white text, and I highly encourage you to also change from that stark white background and the black text to something that's going to be more friendly to your vision. Up in that top right hand corner, if you have installed the plugin, you will have the ability to then open this inside of your Word doc. So it's going to take a second to open it up, and it's then going to process the things that you have going on here. Now, all you have to do is click on whatever it happens to be, and it's going to give you the suggestion for how to then fix this. If it makes sense, you're going to go ahead and you're going to click on it. Otherwise, you're going to hit that little trash can to remove it. You also have access to those three little dots where you can say it's an incorrect suggestion or an offensive content. So this is something that is learning from the way that people are editing, the way that people are writing their stories and the content that they're putting through Grammarly. It is constantly evolving and learning how things are working through how people are using it. So sometimes it gives you weird suggestions. Sometimes it changes things to things that are inappropriate for the context or just straight out inappropriate. So you have to be aware of the grammar and of the punctuation and of the different words that you are using to make sure you're doing things right. Just because Grammarly or ProWritingAid gives you a suggestion does not mean it is correct, which is why we have to make sure we're using professional editors as well. So we're going to take a look at this. And this is incorrect. This is not a good suggestion, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see some of these other things, and you're going to notice that it is pulling up a lot of grammar things, punctuation things, but also typos. Now with Grammarly, this definitely focuses more on the grammar side of things, the typos, the punctuation errors, whereas ProWritingAid focuses more on sentence structure. So I do recommend working with both the free version of Grammarly and the paid, just one-time payment of ProWritingAid to really level up what you're doing and making sure that you've got all of your bases covered before you send it to your professional editor. And as I mentioned, the paid version of this is not something that I use. I previously used the paid version of Grammarly so that I could see what was going on, but the suggestions that it was offering me was not anything that was actually helpful. It was more along the lines of those structural things, and it just didn't help me because it didn't make sense. I was deleting most of the suggestions that they gave me, and then my editors were very impressed with the manuscripts that I turned in through my self-editing and through my Grammarly and my ProWritingAid work. So it did not help me, it was ineffective for me, and it wasn't something I wanted to be paying for. So I do have the paid version of ProWritingAid, which was a one-time lifetime purchase, and then I've got the free version of Grammarly for this. But you can also do it outside of the context of your Word doc. So let's go ahead and take a look inside of the browser. So once you're inside of the browser, you actually have the ability to either upload your file or start a new file. I highly recommend uploading your file because it keeps the italics, it keeps the different indentations, whereas if you are copying and pasting it into a new file, that is totally new and it removes all of those things, which is not something that we want. So you have that blank document, you can copy and paste it in here, but unless you're just checking like a paragraph or something, I would recommend uploading the document as a whole. Now it does not take full manuscripts, so you will have to break this up chapter by chapter by chapter as you do this. So I'm just going to go ahead and click back here, and I am going to then upload my content so that we can check it out inside of the browser. So once I have uploaded my document, I am then going to be able to kind of set some goals here. So I can set my audience, my formality, the domain that it's going to be in, the tone, the intent. So you have to make sure you are setting this correctly. You're going to want to go with knowledgeable if you're using a story. You want neutral for that formality. Your domain you can definitely use as general, or you can use as creative. I might actually switch it over to creative. And you do have the ability to hit those other settings as well. You want to make sure that you're saying that it is for writing. It definitely jumped ahead on me, so nothing I can do about it there, but you saw what was there and you can set those parameters for what's going to work best for you. And remember, this is something that's constantly learning from what other people are doing, so you're going to have to take each and every suggestion with a grain of salt. Learn from it, but also help it learn. So at that point, you're going to go through and we're going to see the same mistake as before. However, they're incorrect with this. So I'm going to go ahead and I can either dismiss it, or I can click on those dots and I can say incorrect suggestion, which helps it to then learn. So you can then go through and you can see where it says that you've got redundancy. It does have replacing punctuation. It's got correct spelling in there. A lot of things have commas. So I definitely pay attention to where they're suggesting commas. Most of the time they're right, sometimes they are not going to be correct. So you just have to take it, again, with a grain of salt. So once you work your way through all of these different things, it will say that you are good to go. And at that point, you're going to have to go up to the top left-hand corner and you're going to click on that menu where it is then going to say download. So you can download your file. It is going to add on a little bit to the title so you know which is the edited version and which is not, and you'll be good to go. Once you export it from the browser, it will put all those italics back in and any of the indentation where it has removed it from here. So if your document looks different here, if the formatting is different inside of the browser, that's okay. It's going to replace that once you have exported your document. So you just have to download that and you will be good to go, and you can change any of the settings that you need as you are going with that. If you are downloading or you're saving from your Word document, so let me pull that back up one more time. All you have to do at that point, once you've gotten through everything and it says you're done, you're clear, you've gone through everything, you're just then going to hit that save button and you will be able to move forward with that. You can go ahead and you can close your Grammarly box and you're ready to go. So basically doing it inside of Word just saves you the extra step of having to go to the browser. So this is a newer feature for you to be using, and you really want to make sure you're paying attention to how they are giving those suggestions. This is really, really good educationally for you to learn what you're maybe struggling with, and if you're not sure about something, Google it or ask another writer who is a professional writer. Don't ask somebody on the same level as you because they probably won't know. I have seen some authors work together in a group, and when one person makes a mistake, the entire group makes a mistake, and years later are still making the same mistake despite having people teach them the correct way. So you always want to make sure that you are working with people who are leveled up from where you are so that you don't struggle with this, but it's really, really easy just to click on that button and pull up what you need and go through and handle all of the suggestions. So you're going to be specifically looking for things like correctness and clarity, engagement, and delivery. And you want to be looking actively for spelling and punctuation and then focus on the rest of those things. So you can actually go through and do these in any order. It does not have to be in the order they give it to you. Remember, we are just clicking on the different things and they're going to show you inside of the actual page. So you're going to see where it is and in the context, and you have the ability to then go ahead and click on those things and decide yes or no to each of them. Some people will go through and do this based on correctness. So all the little red dots, they'll go through and do those first. All the clarity, they'll go through and do all the blue dots. For me, I typically work my way through the structure. So however they present it to me, I just start at the top and work my way down to the bottom. If there is something that I'm uncertain of or I want to take a minute to think about, I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it where it is and go down to the next one. And then when I'm done going through everything, it'll be the last thing on my list. I'll be able to go through it. If I need to ask someone a question, I can. If I need to ask for an opinion on something, if I need to Google something, or if I just have to write it differently. Sometimes, and here's my pro tip for you, sometimes if you have something that you're just not positive on and maybe people can't agree on what it is, it's best just to rewrite the sentence. If you can rewrite it and make it easier on yourself, do it. Now, when you are doing things, if you're adding in a sentence, if you're changing a word, if you're adding in a paragraph, it will note these things and it will kick that into the system so that it's testing for you. So when you make a change, it is going through your structure again and making sure that it has not missed anything new. So if you're adding things, don't worry, it is still going to catch those and you'll be good to go. Now remember, Grammarly is fantastic, but it is a program. It is not a person. It does not replace a professional editor. So you do need to make sure you're working with a professional editor, whether you're in the trad space or the indie space. But this is something you need to do for your self-editing to make sure it's as best quality as you can get it before you send it up to the paid professional. We don't want to make their jobs harder so that they miss other things because they're busy catching our silly mistakes. We catch our silly mistakes first, then we pass it off to the professionals to clean it up after us. So you want to make sure that you're going through with this, and I do recommend the free version. If you feel like the paid version is going to help you, try it out for a month. You can get a monthly subscription and see if it's going to catch things that make you a better, stronger writer. If it does, keep using it. If not, go back to the free version. Totally fine either way. I typically start with Grammarly and then I'll kick my manuscript over to Pro Writing Aid so that I have the ability to clean up anything after this, but you can do it either way. Remember, Grammarly is more spelling and punctuation, while Pro Writing Aid is more along the lines of sentence structure. While it still catches those typos and those punctuation things, it focuses more on tighter writing, while this is more the grammar and the punctuation side of things. Hit the subscribe button because in the next tutorial video, we are actually breaking down how to use Pro Writing Aid as a professional author or an aspiring author. And if you've got questions on Grammarly or Pro Writing Aid, go ahead and let me know down below. I've also linked both of them with some extra things for you to make sure that you are making the most out of your time during your self-editing. And I would love to make sure that we're helping you level up your writing wherever you happen to be. So let me know in the comments, are you an aspiring author? Are you an established author? Are you a well-established author? I want to be making content for you, so let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm multi-time best-selling author KM Robinson, answering your questions about leveling up in the publishing industry. See you in the next video.